The streets are talking, the blogs are buzzing. And Kodak Black has finally broken his silence. And when I say he spoke, I mean he detonated. Forget everything you thought you knew about this man's arrest, because his side of the story just turned the internet upside down. You know how some rappers drop a diss track when they're mad? Kodak dropped a confession with punchlines. His explanation for what really went down during that arrest is part thriller, part stand-up routine, and part divine testimony. It's so wild, it makes Keeping Up with the Kardashians look like a tax seminar. Cops had one story. The media had another. But Kodak, he's got receipts, a mouthful of gold, and zero filter. He's spilling details that have fans screaming, "Wait." He got arrested for that? Because apparently, this wasn't some basic drug bust. It was chaos, wrapped in confusion, dipped in Florida logic. And served with a side of only Kodak could pull this off. So buckle up. Because Kodak's version of events makes every rumor look like child's play. This isn't damage control, it's damage turned into content. And once you hear what he said, you'll understand why even the cops had to laugh. Let's start where every Kodak story seems to begin, in the middle of beautiful chaos. Because this wasn't just an arrest. This was a Kodak moment gone nuclear. It all started late one Florida night, the kind of humid, unpredictable night where even the palm trees look suspicious. Cops claimed they pulled over a vehicle of interest for irregular driving behavior. Translation: they saw tinted windows, gold chains, and Florida plates, and said, "Yep, let's ruin somebody's evening." Inside the car sat Kodak Black, the man, the myth, the walking headline. They said he looked dazed, non-compliant, and possibly under the influence. Kodak said, "Man, I was chillin'. That's it. No gunfire, no high-speed chase, no drama. Just another normal Tuesday that somehow turned into a felony." The officers searched the car and claimed they found pills in a bag near the center console. Immediately, the story exploded. Rapper Kodak Black arrested again. The same headline, copy-pasted like a never-ending loop since 2016. Social media lit up like it was the Super Bowl of scandals. Fans sighed. Haters celebrated. The blog started cooking up new theories before the cuffs were even tight. But this time, Kodak wasn't having it. When he finally got his phone call and saw the headlines, he reportedly laughed. "They acting like I robbed Fort Knox, man." And when his lawyer bailed him out the next day, Kodak walked out of jail cool as ever, fresh clothes, shades on, smirking like a man who already knew how to flip the narrative. The internet went crazy. How is he free already? He got the cheat codes for the system. Yak must have a loyalty card with the courthouse. The memes came in faster than the police report. One showed him walking out with the caption, "New Day." Same mugshot. Another, Kodak treats jail like it's his Airbnb. But behind the humor, something deeper was brewing, because this time, the story didn't add up. The arrest report claimed officers found unknown substances. But when journalists pressed for clarification, the lab hadn't even confirmed what the pills were. The ink on the paperwork was still drying, and the evidence wasn't even tested. That detail right there cracked open the door for Kodak's version to come stomping through. 2 days later, he went live on Instagram.com, unbothered and hilarious. "They said I had drugs," he began. "But what they found ain't even illegal, man. It's my prescription. They tried to hit me with some made-up story because it's me. They see Yak and they think it's a crime scene." The internet froze. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't offensive. He was just talking casually, confidently, like someone who's been through this 100 times. He explained that the mystery pills were prescribed medication for pain left over from an injury. They saw the bottle, saw my name, and still wanted to make it sound dirty. Like, how you gonna lock me up for being responsible? The live went viral instantly. millions tuned in. Even people who swore they were done with Kodak were back, commenting, "All right, this one might not be on him." He kept going. They don't like to see me doing good. When I was wildin', they let me breathe. Now that I'm chillin', they tryna create drama. That quote alone turned into a meme, a song lyric, and a TikTok soundbite within hours. It was the kind of poetic, chaotic honesty only Kodak could pull off, the mix of street wisdom and Florida nonsense that makes him unpredictable, hilarious, and somehow relatable. But Kodak wasn't done because, of course, he wasn't. He started dropping names. These ain't regular cops, man. These the same ones been messin' with me for years. They see me and forget I'm famous. They just see trouble. I'm like a walking case file to them. Fans went feral. Twitter exploded. Kodak got ops in uniform. He got beef with the whole county. Bro living in a real-life GTA, Florida edition. And while the internet was laughing, legal analysts weren't. Some quietly admitted he might have a point. The arrest looked sloppy, the evidence weak, the narrative exaggerated. Even mainstream outlets started shifting tone from Kodak caught again to questions arise over latest Kodak arrest. The shift was wild. One day he's trending as the problem, the next he's trending as the victim. And Kodak knew exactly how to ride that wave. He dropped a tweet that night that said, "They hate when I mind my business 'cause they can't sell peace." It broke the internet. His fans called it a yak proverb. People started printing it on shirts. The man went from mugshot to messiah in 24 hours. Meanwhile, clips from the night of the arrest kept leaking. Dashcam footage showed Kodak staying calm, hands visible, asking questions politely. "Why y'all even pulling me over?" The cop answers, "You fit the description." Kodak chuckled. Fit the description of what success? That one line alone turned into legend. Fans quoted it like scripture. Fit the description of success. It became the motto for every underdog with a chip on their shoulder. The more Kodak spoke, the more people realized this wasn't the same reckless kid from a few years ago. This was a man tired of being a headline. A man who learned how to turn every scandal into a sermon. Still, there were critics. He's just spinning it. He always has an excuse. But the numbers didn't lie. His fan base was louder, prouder, and more unified than ever. And as the dust settled, Kodak didn't fade away. He leaned in harder. He promised the full truth was coming soon, saying, "They want to tell my story. But I tell it better, because if there's one thing Kodak Black knows better than anyone, it's how to turn a mistake into momentum." So when he said he was ready to tell what really happened, the internet didn't just listen. It reloaded. Because everyone knew if Kodak's talking, chaos is coming. When Kodak spoke again, the internet lost its mind. He didn't stutter, didn't hold back, and definitely didn't play the victim. He said, "They didn't stop me for no drugs. They stopped me because I was shining too hard." That line alone became a classic. Fans started quoting it like scripture, memes flooded timelines, and within hours, every social feed was pure Kodak chaos. Kodak explained that the whole arrest was built on attitude, not evidence. He said the cops weren't chasing a crime. They were chasing a moment. "They ain't want justice. They wanted a picture," he said. "Me in cuffs sell better than me in peace." The world froze on that sentence. It sounded like the truth nobody wanted to admit, the idea that the world loves seeing a successful black man fall. That clip alone turned Kodak from a headline into a hashtag. Overnight, people who hadn't cared about him since tunnel vision were suddenly defending him like family. "He's speaking facts," one tweet said. "Every time he levels up, they drag him down." Another said, "Kodak need to drop an album called Mugshot Money, because that's exactly what the media making off him." Then came the celebrity flood. Boosie posted a video rant saying, "They don't like when we win. They love when we behind bars. Free Yak, man, they scared of that boy." The internet exploded. Boosie preaching again. Boosie and Yak need a podcast. Then 50 Cent jumped in, reposting Kodak's quote with the caption, "He ain't lying. They love a downfall more than a success story." 1 million likes in 2 hours. You already know 50 doesn't consign anybody unless it makes noise, and this one shook the timeline. Meanwhile, blogs were scrambling. TMZ ran a headline about Kodak being defensive, but fans dragged them straight into digital dust. He defensive. He explaining his own arrest. Y'all allergic to the truth. Shade Room comments were a war zone, half defending, half doubting, all obsessed. And Kodak. He didn't let up. He tweeted, "I don't run from smoke. I run on smoke. That's how I'm still here." That tweet hit like a punchline. He turning trauma into quotes. One person wrote, "He the Malcolm X of mugshots. He the Malcolm X of mugshots." Then came the twist no one saw coming, the footage. Not TMZ footage, not fan rumors. Real body cam footage leaked online, and suddenly everyone saw what really went down. No wild behavior. No chaos. Just Kodak sitting there, calm, quiet, tired. The cop opened the door, pulled out the bag, and asked, "What's this?" Kodak replied, "I don't know. It's not mine." That's it. No yelling. No fighting. No wild story. Just another man being treated like he was guilty before anyone checked the facts. The internet erupted. He was calm the whole time. They lied in the report. This man been fighting ghosts, not crimes. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag free Yak, hashtag justice for Kodak, hashtag they lying on Yak. Fans went back to old interviews where Kodak talked about being targeted and started posting them with captions like, "He been telling y'all." The media tried to pivot, but it was too late. The truth was out, and Kodak's version started sounding less like damage control and more like a reality check. He said it best himself. "They don't want me free, 'cause I remind 'em freedom ain't for sale." That line alone broke the internet. People started making edits, TikToks, and remixes using his quote as the hook. Overnight, it became viral audio. Videos of people walking out of work early or ignoring text messages were all using the sound. "They don't want me free." Even the rap world couldn't ignore it. Lil Baby liked to post, defending him. Future posted a cryptic, "The system dirty, but the soul clean." Fans swore it was about Kodak. Drake's team followed a fan page that was covering the story. Everything Kodak touched that week turned into an algorithmic wildfire. But while fans were celebrating his comeback, the police weren't. Officials released a clarification. Statement saying the investigation was ongoing and that Mr. Black's cooperation is appreciated. That sounded more like a retreat than a response. Meanwhile, the lab test results started leaking through local journalists. Turns out the so-called pills weren't confirmed illegal. They might have been prescription medication. Exactly what Kodak said from day one. That's when the story flipped completely. Now people weren't just defending Kodak, they were demanding answers. Why arrest him before knowing what it was? Why parade him like a criminal if the test wasn't done? Legal experts even chimed in, saying the arrest looked premature, maybe even unlawful. News anchors had to change their tone on air, switching from Kodak in trouble again to was Kodak unfairly targeted. The narrative did a full 180, and the internet had receipts. Kodak didn't even gloat, he just tweeted, "God's timing, undefeated." Fans flooded it with replies like "Amen, Pastor Yak," and he turning his cases into church sermons. But the funniest part? His streams went through the roof. Every single song from Back for Everything started charting again. Spotify confirmed a 160% spike in listeners. YouTube flooded with Kodak explained videos, all pulling millions of views. The arrest didn't ruin him, it rebranded him. Bloggers called it the Kodak paradox. The more chaos he faces, the more powerful his comeback. Fans said he's like a Florida superhero, bulletproof, unpredictable, unstoppable. But then Kodak dropped another line that sent chills down social media. They don't want Yak clean because they built careers off my dirt. That line became gospel. People quoted it in captions, podcasts, interviews. It summed up his entire existence, a man fighting the machine that profits off his pain. Even his critics couldn't deny it anymore. Commentators who once called him reckless now called him resilient. He wasn't just surviving scandals, he was flipping them into art by now. Every outlet, every rapper, and every fan had picked a side. Some said he was a misunderstood genius. Others said he was the master of manipulation. But one thing was undeniable. Kodak Black was once again the center of the culture. His truth wasn't polished, professional, or politically correct. It was raw. It was ugly. And it was exactly what made people listen. He didn't ask for sympathy. He asked for honesty. "I'm not perfect," he said, "but I'm real, and that's something they can't fake." And that's when the energy shifted. The conversation wasn't Kodak arrested again. It was how many times can one man rebuild himself before the world finally lets him live? That's when the next twist came. New documents dropped, and footage surfaced that revealed even more than anyone expected. The truth Kodak hinted at. It wasn't just about a bad arrest, it was about the entire system behind it. And when that bombshell hit, even his biggest doubters had to sit down and say, "All right, maybe Yak been right this whole time." When the new evidence surfaced, everything changed. What was once seen as another Kodak arrest turned into a full-blown cultural moment. The leaked files and witness details didn't just back up. His story, they made the entire police department look like the villains in a low-budget Netflix. The reports revealed that the so-called illegal substances weren't illegal at all. They were prescription pain meds with his name on the bottle. In other words, Kodak Black got cuffed for being organized. That revelation alone flipped the internet upside down. They locked him for his own meds. One tweet said, "This man can't even have vitamins in peace." Fans started flooding every comment section. They tried to frame him again. "Yak, been telling y'all. They don't want him clean." The hashtags multiplied like wildfire. Hashtag apologize to Kodak. Hashtag free Yak forever. Hashtag the system dirty. News outlets were backtracking so hard it looked like they were moonwalking. The same blogs that posted Kodak caught again were now posting was Kodak wrongfully arrested. It was the fastest PR turnaround since Will Smith's apology tour. Meanwhile, Kodak didn't celebrate or complain. He just posted one caption, "God don't miss." That's it. 3 words, 10 million impressions, and the entire culture knew what he meant. He didn't need interviews, statements, or lawyers talking for him. That post said it all. He'd beaten the system again. And while the police scrambled to explain themselves, Kodak was busy living life like a man allergic to stress. He went live again, this time smiling ear to ear. "They said I was the villain," he said. "Now they lookin' like extras in my movie." The internet exploded. Fans said he spoke like a man who's seen both hell and heaven in the same week. Within 48 hours, the arrest became a meme of redemption. Edits of Kodak walking out of jail played over gospel music. Someone even made a fake movie trailer called Yak, the Resurrection. It went viral overnight, but underneath the humor was something deeper, a shift. People weren't laughing at Kodak anymore. They were rooting for him. The narrative had flipped. He wasn't just the reckless rapper who couldn't stay out of trouble. He was the survivor who kept proving everyone wrong. Even industry heavyweights started acknowledging it. Rick Ross posted, "Can't stop destiny. They can't lock purpose." Cardi B commented with prayer emojis. DJ Khaled, of course, wrote, "They didn't want him free, but God did." And fans couldn't stop quoting it. At this point, Kodak wasn't just trending, he was resurrected. His name dominated every feed. His story became a metaphor for fighting back, for refusing to fold under pressure. People started calling him the unbreakable yak, but it didn't stop there. He did what only Kodak could do, turned his legal nightmare into art, just days after being cleared. He dropped a freestyle online titled, "They Want Me Gone." The lyrics were pure fire. "They love to see me trapped, but I'm too sharp for the cage. They try to clip my wings, but I just turn the page. You can't cancel what God already raised." Fans flooded the comments like a digital church revival. This man don't drop songs. He drops sermons. Yak, preaching again. Even critics had to admit it, his pen was sharper when he was under fire. The freestyle spread faster than any single heat dropped that year. It hit 1 million views in less than 2 hours. Radio hosts quoted it on air. Memes turned his lyrics into motivational quotes. Somehow, Kodak had turned the same system that tried to bury him into his marketing team. Then came the comeback interview. When Kodak finally sat down with a hip-hop journalist to talk about the situation, he didn't dodge a thing. He said, "They've been trying to make me the example, but every time, I end up the exception." That line hit like a haymaker. It wasn't cocky, it was honest. He explained that the arrest came right before a major business deal, a sneaker collab, a new label partnership, and a charity drive. "They ain't want me out here doing good," he said. "They like me better when I'm in headlines, not in boardrooms." The world listened, because for once, it wasn't Kodak the clown, it was Kodak the critic. Calling out a system that profits off chaos, he ended the interview with one final line. "They said, I'm a problem. Nah, I'm the proof. Problem. Nah, I'm the proof." That quote alone broke the internet all over again. Every outlet posted it. Fans tattooed it. It became a statement, a reminder that sometimes the villain they paint is the only one telling the truth. But what made this comeback so powerful wasn't just the vindication, it was how Kodak handled it. No shouting, no violence, no meltdown. Just calm confidence and sharp words. That silence spoke louder than any lawyer ever could. And while everyone else was debating whether he'd changed, Kodak was already 2 steps ahead. He dropped a new single the same week, "Free Spirit." The cover art, him standing outside a courthouse in all white, smiling like a man who just won a spiritual war. The song wasn't angry or bitter. It was reflective, honest, almost too mature for the chaos surrounding it. The hook said, "They want the pain, but I'm giving peace." It became his biggest song of the year. Kodak had finally figured out the formula not to escape controversy, but to own it. He wasn't running from the fire anymore. He was walking through it, grinning, and making money off the smoke. That's what separates him from the rest. Every scandal tries to break him, but he flips it into success. Every loss becomes a lyric. Every arrest becomes an advertisement. He's not just a rapper, he's hip-hop's most unpredictable survivor. By the time the dust settled, Kodak wasn't trending because of trouble anymore. He was trending because of transformation. The same headlines that once mocked him were now calling him the comeback king. And that's the wildest part. He didn't need a label spin, a crisis manager, or a redemption arc crafted by PR suits. He wrote it himself, one viral quote at a time. When asked if he regretted how it all went down, he said, "Nah. Without the mess, the message don't hit the same." And that right there was Kodak Black in one sentence: messy, real, and completely unstoppable. He didn't just tell the world what really happened during that arrest. He turned the story inside out, exposed the double standard, and walked away shining brighter than ever. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they throw at him, the rumors, the labels, the cuffs, or the critics' yak still stands tall, and every time they try to silence him, he comes back louder. And there you have it, the scandal, the receipts, the redemption. Kodak Black didn't just survive another arrest. He turned it into his biggest plot twist yet. The man walked through handcuffs like it was a revolving door and came out rapping like Moses parting the legal system. You can't cancel chaos that knows how to rhyme. He didn't beg for sympathy. He demanded clarity. He didn't drop tears, he dropped bars. And now the world that called him a criminal is calling him a comeback story. It's poetic justice, Florida edition. But let's be honest, this ain't just Kodak's story. It's a reflection of a culture that turns trauma into trending topics and pain into playlists. Every time he falls, we click faster. Every time he speaks, we stream harder. Kodak doesn't just live in the spotlight, he owns the electricity. So if you've been riding with Yak through the mess, hit that like button like it owes you lawyer fees. Drop a comment below with your take. Is Kodak the most misunderstood artist alive, or the greatest chaos marketer in hip-hop history? And don't just watch, subscribe. Because here on The Rap Truth, the stories never stop spinning, and the scandals never stay buried. Hit that notification bell before the next headline hits him first. And remember, in the rap game, peace is temporary, but drama is forever. This is The Rap Truth, where the beats bang harder than the rumors, and the truth always hits louder than the lies.